Hello, everybody. Welcome to Jumping in an Elevator. I actually had to look at my notes then to remember what my podcast is called. Isn't that just a fantastic sign? The podcast where I, Mike, from the YouTube channel Mike's Mike, you may be aware of it. You may not be. If you're not aware of it, I don't know how you got here, but regardless, welcome. I research things that you want to know more about, but you can't be bothered researching them yourself, right? You outsource the research, and I'm the researcher. Nay, the researchee. Welcome to Season 2. I'm so excited to get back into it. As you can see, I pulled out all the stops. I'm wearing my matching faux fur Kirin jacket with the matching faux fur. Not the faux fur. Not me hitting the faux fur to start off with. The faux fur, the forks fur. Not the forks. Anyway, the F-O-R-K-S fur. The F-O-R-K-S-P-H-O. The forks fur. I've whipped it out for the podcast and I plan on wearing it every episode, which is a problem because it's fur. It's fake fur and it is factually summer in Australia. And I've decided that now is the time to wear a full faux fur getup. But, you know, it's fine. Live and let live. It's 2020. Can't tell me shit. That's actually the motto that I've decided. You can kind of tell that I just kind of don't care anymore. I just kind of do whatever the fuck I want. I wear what I want. It's, 11 p.m. and I'm wearing faux fur sitting in front of a camera? Yeah, I am. And what are you going to do about it? Exactly. It's quiet. Ain't no back talk. I'm also living my LED light fantasy. But I've also kind of cooked that as well because the lights, I've attached them to the desk. I had a frenzy of thought and I figured, you know what? Let's stick the lights to the desk. That's such a fun activity. It was fun while I was doing it. And then I very much did not have fun because I put them on the wrong side of the desk. And now when I try and use them, it kind of reflects into my face. And I don't love that. I want the lights behind me, right? I always want to be in first place. I want to look behind me and see the lights. I don't want the lights to be in front of me because that means the lights are winning. And I'm a winner. You're a winner, baby. RuPaul. How's RuPaul going? Anyone have RuPaul updates? How's the ranch? How's the oil business? Are oil prices going up or low? I wouldn't know. I don't have a car. I don't be buying petrol. I just be sitting. And sometimes I do standing and sometimes I do walking, which is nice. Walk around the neighborhood. Sit around the neighborhood. Stand around the neighborhood. So today we're talking about Deja Vu, which is honestly a big brain moment because it's the first episode back, which ties into the concept of Deja Vu. But we'll get to that in a second. I have a list of things that we need to cover quickly. First of all, I'm doing so much more research this season. As you can tell, I'm wearing glasses, which means I'm feeling smart. That's the universal sign of intelligence, wearing glasses. When you see a little 5-year-old wearing glasses, it means that 5-year-old's smarter than you if you don't have glasses and you're an adult. I don't make the rules. That's just how it goes. Let me sip my water. Delicious. Every time I say delicious, I think of Brittany Broski on TikTok saying, delicious. It's a blessing and a curse. Haven't decided which one it is yet. So I'm doing a lot more research because in season 1, I liked the format and everything. One of the problems I had was that I had grand plans and I wanted to research topics really in depth, but I just didn't have the time. Now I have the time. I had the time, so I did it. And you'll do it too for a check. I was an employee and I was going to get Employee of the Month. Let's just say I have more time in general. Maybe I'll talk about that later. But at the same time, I filled up my free time with other things to do. So do I really have free time? Does anyone have free time? Are we really free? At the end of the day, are we really free? I didn't choose to be in this flesh prison. And yet here I am. I'm a slave for capitalism. Anyway, next thing. Well, what a start to the episode. Absolutely fantastic. So we're going one topic per episode. Today's topic is Deja Vu. Next week's topic is facial recognition. I'm also doing bonus content, which we'll get to right now, conveniently. Love that for me. Thank you, past me, who wrote these show notes. Because in my head, I'm thinking, it'd be so great if we just started talking about Patreon now. And in fact, I am about to talk about Patreon. So I have Patreon, as we can tell from me saying Patreon 4 times in a minute. Is that subliminal advertising? Maybe. I remember they showed me ads in English class of a McDonald's thing, and they put a half-second ad in the ad. And it was to like brainwash people to buy a Big Mac or some shit. I don't know. Capitalism tease. Is that capitalism? Yeah, that's capitalism. I remember when I first read capitalism, I thought it was talking about capitalizing the letters at the start of your sentence. And I thought, isn't capitalism normal? Because you have to capitalize every sentence. Let's not talk about that dark time. So the main podcast will obviously always be free. I'm a big stan of having most of the content free. Anything that you expect now, you can expect to still get for free. But the girls are adding more. And when I say girls, I mean just me. I'm the team. The team is me. There is a me in team. There is no I in team, but there is a me. Rearranged backwards. Sitting backwards at the end of team is me. So I have a couple of tiers. First tier is the $3 tier. I'm reading off my notes here so I get this exactly right. Different level benefits, first being $3 US dollars, and that's a month. It gives you access to the video version of the podcast 24 hours earlier. So you're watching this now. Imagine if you watched it 24 hours ago. Imagine that serve, right? Absolutely obsessed with those results. One full day. Do you know what could happen in one full day? Exactly. Spill. Okay, next is the $7 US dollars. Why am I saying $7 US dollars? I think it's because I wrote 7 USD with the dollar sign. Isn't that kind of contradictory to say dollar and dollar? I should just stick with one. $7 US dollars tier, which is the early content plus, wait for it, the extra content plus, what's that? The Mike's Mike VIP Discord. Absolutely, yep, absolutely obsessed with the results. So let me explain each one of those. Extra content is, so each episode will be 20 to 30, probably 30-ish minutes long, the main podcast. I also plan on uploading, I'm thinking about 15 minutes of extra content. It might be user-submitted questions or anything that I come up with, right? Because the main podcast is one particular topic. These extra things, I'm thinking of having lots of different little bits in there. So you'll have access to that extra content every week and also access to the Discord, which I spent this last week or so setting up. Big shout out to the people on Discord already. It's a shared Discord with my Twitch subs. So there's general channels, Twitch channels, and podcast channels. So you'll have access to the podcast channels and the general channels, which are shared between Twitch and podcast. And it's a great time. I was just sitting there before having a laugh, having a browse, having a laugh, good times. But you can have a read of that. I'll put a link to the Patreon website in the description if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening, just go to patreon.com/jumping in an elevator, or you can just grab it off one of my socials or find it on the video podcast. Literally obsessed with the results. And the last thing is, I did say that I was doing more research, which means I have a lot more notes, which means I'm going to be reading from the screen more. Okay, ladies. So if you're looking at like, why is he looking down? He's got such a beautiful face, he should be looking up. First of all, you're right. Second of all, it gives you time to take in the surroundings, and by the surroundings, I mean the faux fur jacket in the 23-degree heat. Not me having gas at this time. All right, so preamble's over. Let's get stuck into it. Deja Vu. When I say Deja Vu, you might be thinking he's talking about the 2006 movie Deja Vu starring Denzel Washington. That is Deja Vu, but that's not the Deja Vu that I'm talking about. Capiche? You might be thinking, oh, he's talking about the also 2006 Beyonce track Deja Vu from her second solo studio album, B-Day. Great album, by the way. How fun that both those things are from 2006. Does that not feel some kind of like message? 2006 kind of spilled. What happened in 2006? I can't remember a single thing. I was in year 6. Always forever thankful that I was in the same grade as the year. It just made things so much easier. Imagine being in like grade 7 in 2003. They'd be like, ugh, there's not even any point. Like, it's just so exhausting to even think about it. Anyway, so this is not about Deja Vu, the song by Beyonce. However, that probably does deserve its own episode. Also, on the old TikTok, the shit talk, if you will, that could be the worst diss I've ever done. I'm seeing a lot of Beyonce slander, not just on TikTok, on Twitter as well, and I blame the Zoomers. The Zoomers are like, I never liked Beyonce. I don't get the hype around Beyonce. It's like, okay, what do you want? Do you want a prize? Why don't you go sit in a dark room and listen to Maroon 5? Why was that kind of aggressive? I had feelings behind that. Speaking of Maroon 5, the Sugar remix with Nicki Minaj, fantastic, deserved more. Anyway, that was a lot, moving on. I watched a pronunciation guide, not me stuttering on pronunciation. The jokes write themselves. Apparently say it as, ready? Déjà vu. It's French, if that wasn't clear. The way I just put hands up as soon as I try and do any kind of European accent, déjà vu. Or allora andiamo ragazzi. The hands just come up. It's an Italian thing you would understand. I'm just an Italian girl from New York. Lady Gaga and I have that in common. The New York discourse. Nobody opens the door for me either because I'm from New York. I'm not actually from New York, but do you think I could be from New York? Say yes. It's part of my aesthetic, thinking that I'm from New York. But then I watch actual videos of people in New York and I'm like, it's kind of shit. So I think I prefer the idea of New York than the actual concept of New York. I prefer the Spider-Man version of New York. Does that make sense? All I want to do is take screenshots of Spider-Man New York, not actual New York. And just watch best dressed videos because she's in New York. That's as close as I'll get to New York, watching best dressed YouTube videos. Love that for her. Get that AdSense. Let me sip my water. I miss learning French. I did it for a year in college. It was the best of times. It was the best of times, the worst of crimes. I struck a match and blew your mind. But Taylor Swift Getaway Car. Great song, great album. I've spoken about Reputation before. Maybe I'll do like a Reputation episode. Strong thoughts about it. Someone mentioned in the Discord that Reputation isn't a good album. And I was like, I have powers to ban you. So just be careful with what you say. The slander. The complete mispoints that were made. What's the opposite of a point? Oh my God, that's having a little bit of crisis moment for me because opposite of a point is like a point in space. Is a point one dimension? Because a line is 2 dimension. So a point is technically 1 dimension. So what's the opposite of 1 dimensional space? What's the opposite of 2 dimensional space? So much to think about. Deja vu translates roughly to already seen. Kind of like when I see a YouTube video and it's a concept that I've already done before and I think I've already seen this before. I wonder where I got that thought from. It's quiet, ain't no back talk, not me being shady on the podcast. Anyway, the Merriam-Webster definition of déjà vu is the illusion of remembering scenes and events when experienced for the first time. I don't like Miss Merriam's attitude because she's saying the illusion of remembering, not you calling me crazy, Merriam. Can we alter that? I'm voting her out for 3 votes for tone. So examples of déjà vu for me. Sometimes a bitch is driving and I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, hold on. I've been on this road before. But it's not like, oh, ha ha ha, I drive this road every day. Not at the moment because as we know, I don't have a car for 8 months. I'm in my stationary era. But it's kind of like you're driving and you're like, I feel like I've been in this exact moment before. Or when you're walking into a room and you just feel this sense of, it's hard to explain. It feels like you've been there before, but you can't really place when or how, I guess is how I would describe it. And it's been a while since I've experienced déjà vu. I used to get a lot around the master's era. How long did it take me to mention my master's degree? Like 10, 15 minutes or something? Yeah, and I do it again. Both the master's degree and talking about it. Master's degree is just worth it to talk about it. The way that I monetized having a master's degree. Anyway, on the driving thing, actually, I don't know if I covered this in the last podcast. I can't remember time. Time just be screwing with my brain and shit. I think it was 2 or 3 months ago, the last episode. About 2 months ago, I was having a bit of a struggle town situation where I think it's because I wasn't sleeping much and I would be driving and I'd suddenly forget how long I'd been driving on that road for, or I wasn't sure how I got on that road. So basically I was forgetting the last half a second or a second. It was quite scary. So I went to the doctor and I was like, hey, bestie, what the fuck's wrong with me? And he was like, anyway, so just go to sleep and drink water. And I was like, okay, spill, bestie. And I did that and it went away. So, moral of the story, get some sleep and drink some water, which is annoying to me because imagine if I didn't have to sleep. I get so much shit done. Imagine if I didn't have to sleep, I would stream from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. because that's prime time for the girls, as we know. Everything is US centric. That's not like opinion, that's fact. Everything online is US centric. Think about that, process that. Why are all the TikTok girls living in LA? How can all the biggest YouTubers be living in the same city? Make it make sense. Very interesting to me and the homegirls. Why was I talking about that? Okay, so we're talking about my car issues, how I thought it was like a BuzzFeed unsolved mystery, but it turns out I just needed sleep. And I was very crusty that month, extremely crusty. I felt like a sponge out of water, like when SpongeBob got out of the water and he was extremely crusty. That's the best visual that I have of how I was feeling that month. Which month? I don't know. It was one of them. Bitch, they're all the same. There is no distinction. Also, months? Years? Like, why does the year start on January 1st? Because Julius Caesar, the bitch, said so. You wanna say so? Didn't even... Thing about Deja Vu is that you don't know when it's gonna hit. That moment when the Deja Vu hits. So you don't know when it's gonna hit. How do you measure that shit? Right? Unless you're monitoring someone 100% of the time. Which, how would you even do that? And if you could do that, would it have some kind of confirmation bias? Because you're being monitored for deja vu. So would your brain just make up some shit and be like, hey, bestie, here's the deja vu. And you're like, sick, there's a deja vu. And the scientists are all like, yes, nice one with that deja vu. Give me the deja vu. Thanks for the deja vu. When in fact, it wasn't really deja vu. It was like some kind of placebo effect. Your brain's just giving you some shit to be over and done with. Brains they're on some other shit. That's actually kind of the summary of the podcast. Brains are on some other shit. Big brain era. We use 5% of our brains or some shit. Remember that movie Lucy? When she used 100% of her brain and turned into time, space, and a computer. But at the same time, I'm kind of morphing into a computer because I sit down in front of the computer so much. I'm in my Lucy era. Scarlett Johansson can play me. She has the range. She can also play a tree. Love that for her. Time to sip some more water before I get shady. Even though I just said it's extremely hard to recreate deja vu in the lab, well, Akira O'Connor and his colleagues at the University of St. Andrews, of all universities, developed a way of triggering the sensation in the lab. Also, I love the difference between lab and laboratory. Lab seems fun. Lab is friendly. Lab, Labrador. I could be talking about Labrador. You don't know that. Laboratory. Shut up. Shut up. Like if I'm talking to a science friend and they're like, I just went to the laboratory, I'd be like, oh my God, shut up. Like the lab. The laboratory? That sounds like a medical procedure. I'm going to go get a laboratory. Probably because it sounds like lobotomy. Which movie had lobotomies, but it was very aesthetic? Sucker Punch. Yes, Sucker Punch with the aesthetic laboratories. I think about that movie a lot. I think I imagine that I've seen it more times than I actually have. Like if someone said, name a steampunk movie, I will say Sucker Punch. Even though I don't actually know if it's steampunk or not. What actually is steampunk? Episode 3, steampunk. I mean, maybe. That steam do be punky. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyway, the method the team used it's so much less exciting than I thought it was going to be, but it's still kind of interesting. So I was expecting like a deja vu ray, like pew, like no, that's not what happened. They told a person a bunch of related words, but not the key word that connects them. So the example here is bed, pillow, night, dream. So the connected word is sleep, but they didn't tell them the word sleep in the set. And the goal of this is to trigger a false memory. So when they asked later what they heard, they would say they heard the word sleep. Right? So there's a quote here from the New Science article that I got that situation from. It's written by Jessica Hamzalo. So thank you, Jessica. To create the feeling of deja vu, O'Connor's team first asked people if they had heard any words beginning with the letter S. The volunteers replied that they hadn't. This meant that when they were later asked if they had heard the word sleep, they were able to remember that they couldn't have because they didn't hear a word starting with S, but at the same time, the word felt familiar. They report having this strange experience of deja vu. Is that not simple yet genius? Like, even thinking about that, I know I would get deja vu from that. People are like smart and shit, you know? It's almost like people have brains. Funny that. Very interesting to me and the homegirls. I feel like that is the best description of deja vu that I've actually come across. Something that feels familiar, but you know that you couldn't have experienced it before. When you go into a room and experience deja vu, it feels familiar, but how could I possibly have experienced this exact moment before? You know what I mean? So after running MRI scans on the study volunteers, they found that there was activity in the frontal lobe, which is the decision-making area, rather than where you would expect it, in the hippocampus. Fun word, very fun, which deals with memory. So it suggests that during deja vu, your brain is actually deciding if it's experiencing a memory or not by scanning through your memories. We're about to get into Scream territory, by the way. I know because I wrote these notes. Allora, andiamo ragazzi, let's go. The couple of things that stood out for me here, the brain activity. If your brain is firing in the decision-making department, that's great. Love that for you. Love that for the team. But why? When I wrote this out, I was having a full meltdown because why does that specific situation require you to scan your memories? Why would my brain need to know if I've walked into this room before, if I've walked through that door frame? Why would my brain need to make a decision of if that's something that has happened before? It just seems so inconsequential. Like, I've walked through that door how many times, and yet my brain needs to know if this is a memory or not. Do you know what I mean? And then why would my brain need to know if I'd been here before if it's not possible to relive the same moment? Do I just log out and leave? I think that feels like an outrageous question. I know I did something with that. Let's think about that again. Why would my brain need to know if I'd been here before if it's not possible to relive the same moment? Why does my brain need to scan my memories to check that I have been here before if it's not possible to be in the same situation twice? What was the reason? Cardi B tease, you know? If this is in fact the true scientific reason for deja vu, the checking memories thing, does that mean your brain records everything? If it has to scan every memory I've had of me walking into this room, does that mean it's stored every single time I've walked into this room and it's cross-checking, saying, oh, is this the same as that time that I walked into this room 1 year ago? Does that mean my brain actually remembers everything? I think this opens so many other questions. The brain's just kind of like, the brain is fuck shit. Like, sorry to just swear, but the brain is fuck shit. Like, it's like, what the fuck is going on there? We know some of it. We don't know all of it. Also, I'm getting sweaty in this faux fur. I'm going to sweat through this faux fur hat and this faux fur jacket, and it's going to be unusable. And you know what? Tax deduction. I hope my accountant's listening to this. We're going to deduct the shit out of this jacket because I'm going to wear it in every episode. You hear me? Thank you. So I'm a very facts and numbers based person, and these types of things drive me insane because I'm simply not satisfied with the answer. And yet I saw a TikTok of someone talking about how it's your future self communicating with your current self. And I was like, oh my God, shut up. You sound ridiculous. But then when I go into this, I look at the scientific reasoning and I'm like, this just doesn't do it for me. It makes sense what they're saying, but the how makes sense, but the why doesn't make sense. It feels like we're only at the surface level answer. It's kind of like if you go through one of those educational websites and the first page is the easy version, and then you go in, it gets harder and harder and harder. Like those Explain Like I'm 5 videos. I feel like we've got the 5-year-old answer. We don't actually have the PhD answer, and I don't know if we'll ever get to it. So the study that I mentioned came to the conclusion that déjà vu is a good measure of the brain's memory checking system, which ties into the evidence that déjà vu activity decreases with age. So apparently, the age for déjà vu is 15 to 25. The way in which I'm like a month and a bit, or whatever, can't count, a month away from being 25 and out of the déjà vu prime time, hate that for me. And it's the time that I'm actually switched on to déjà vu. I hate that I'm nearly 25. It's so upsetting. That's so upsetting. It's like aging is so annoying. Like, do something original. Age backwards, right? Do something creative. Come up with something else. Can you come up with something else? Also, time. I plan on having time as a podcast episode topic because that bitch, she had something to say and she said it and she'd say it again and she is saying it again. I know I'm just saying words. I find it really interesting that some people don't experience déjà vu at all. And that's because, does that mean that people who don't experience déjà vu, are they smarter than people who do experience déjà vu, or are they not smarter? Because you can look at it like they don't have the brain power to be able to process déjà vu or experience it because their brain doesn't store all the memories or something like that. So their brain doesn't even bother checking if they've been in this situation before because it doesn't have the evidence. Spill. That actually sounds kind of beneficial. The other side of it is like, maybe they're so far ahead of everyone else. Their brain remembers every single tiny detail. It doesn't need to scan because it already knows that it hasn't been here before. Because it's already seen all the memories. Okay, bestie, spill. According to the most reliable website on the internet, which is Miss Wikipedia, which, by the way, I wonder if she ended up getting her coin because she hassled me day and night. I went on that website and I'd be like, hey, we're literally 6 feet underwater today. Can you give us 10 cents? And I'd say no. And then I'd come back and they're like, hey, we're at risk of, I don't know, deleting every little piece of internet ever existing. Can you spare 1 cent? No, I can't. Sorry, Wikipedia. So she stopped asking me for money. So I'm like, did she get her coin? Love that for her. Wikipedia, mumbling and cackling. Y'all mumbling and cackling? Y'all mumbling and cackling while Nikki's in the stool? I love that video. According to Wikipedia, people who travel or watch more movies are more likely to experience déjà vu. Miss Wikipedia with the absolute shite facts. How can... I'm going to need a source, a reliable one, not some shitty little boohoo.com. Yes, I know that's a shopping website, but you know what I mean. Also, apparently people tend to experience déjà vu more in fragile conditions or under high pressure, which does actually make sense because I experienced a lot of it during my master's degree. Diamonds are made under pressure. Ha 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 ha. The singular ha for that. Master's degree era. I've spoken about it before and I'll speak about it again. Trauma, disaster, acne. That's actually a very good description of a master's degree. It's acne. You're going to get acne. And then it's going to go away and you're going to get nice skin like this. Ting. Sponsored by nobody. Let's jump to some explanations, other explanations for the phenomenon. One of the schools of thought is split perception, which suggests the person experienced the sensory event twice and one of the experiences occurred slightly earlier. I don't really like that. That kind of doesn't do it for me. It's not exciting or interesting. It's like an Instagram reel. It's not exciting or interesting. Don't get me started on Instagram reels. That's a conversation. The new Instagram update, they handpicked that from hell, right? They opened a portal, they looked in, they saw Instagram Reels and an Instagram update, and they said, let's pull these two things, plop them into 2020 just for a little bit of fun. It's disgusting. It's so bad. Oh my God. Sorry if anyone who works at Instagram is listening to this or watching this, but like, you kind of fumbled the bag on that one. Another interesting one is the dream-based explanation, which suggests deja vu is your brain comparing the current events with something you saw in a dream and is determining whether that actually happened. I really like this one because it would explain why you can't place where you've seen what you're seeing because you didn't actually see it. Your brain saying, did I experience walking into this room? No, because I dreamt it. And dreams pull from real life. So it checks out. Dreams are a whole issue. Are we going to talk about dreams? Let's not talk about dreams. This is like a whole kettle of fish. If you sleep more, are you dreaming more? Because I wonder what that correlation is with deja vu. They should do a study and see if people sleep longer, do they get more deja vu or less deja vu? Because if this dream theory is correct, the more you dream, the more experience you have in the dream, more chance of having something to have deja vu over. Right? It's just like increasing the pool of possibilities. That pool be big, but it can go bigger. The whole concept of dreaming is wild to me. I remember learning about it in uni and thinking, what the fuck is going on in here on this day? Because we know, but we don't know. How can you... It's one of those things where we can't be 100% sure because we can't confirm it. We can do research and scans and everything, but until you get someone experiencing the dream of someone else firsthand, then how can we possibly be sure? The moment that you can share dreams with people is going to be absolutely wild. We're going to be like, hey, you want to go to the club? Yeah, let's just go to sleep. Ideal. That's I fucking deal. Because going to the club at the moment is impossible because the 5-2, you know what I mean? But then even when the 5-2 is over, it's going to be crusties everywhere. Because like you and I want to go clubbing, we're normal. The crusties also want to go clubbing and they're going to be even crustier than before. They're going to be SpongeBob out of the motherfucking water, right? They're going to be everywhere. The numbers of the crusties, I just know the air's going to get dry because they're going to soak up all the water because they're so crusty. You know what I mean? It's going to be an absolute disaster. I didn't even think about that. Anyway, so if you're asleep and you can join dreams with people, it's like a Spotify shared listening party. I'll be like, hey, you want to go to the club? Yeah, let's just go to sleep. You can go to the club and go to sleep at the same time. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's so ideal. Ugh. What else could you do? You could go get sushi in your dream. But I mean, probably wouldn't be as good as going in person. So really, this is a very niche case of it being more beneficial in the dream, and that's going clubbing. Because everything else is like, yeah, I was just doing it in real life. Listen to some music. Listening to music in the dream is a little bit traumatizing because sometimes your brain just decides to make it spooky. I said, let me take this major and make it minor. I like this sentence from the How Stuff Works site. Several psychoanalysts attribute deja vu to fantasy or wish fulfillment. It's like, is my fantasy walking into this room? Like I've sat in this room every day for 8 months. Is my brain like, yes, bestie, let's get that wish fulfillment. Let's walk into that room one more time. That sounds like such a good idea. What about this one? Many parapsychologists believe it's related to a past life experience. Again, walking into a room? You're telling me I lived a whole other life and all I can remember is walking into this little room. Where is the range? Where is the effort? Like, give me something else. If I lived another life, I want to know all about it. I don't know about walking into a room. What did I look like? What era was it? And I don't mean like what Nicki Minaj album era. I mean like what actual year era. Was I alive at the same time as Julius Caesar when he decided to put January at the start of the year? The absolute audacity. I got a bone to pick with Julius Caesar, actually. That's an issue for another time. What's my take? My take is I'm not obsessed with the results. I'm like, I understand what the science girls are saying and I understand what the non-science girls are saying, and I'm like, it's just not enough for me. I need something else. It just doesn't scratch the itch for me. We got to go deeper. So that's your homework. Solve Deja Vu and let me know how it works. If you can do that, get back to me for next week. That'd be fantastic. That brings me to the end of what I wanted to talk about for this episode. If you decide to support on Patreon, or if you're a Twitch sub and you have access to the Discord, then drop me a message in the podcast channels on Discord talking about Deja Vu. Have you had experience with the Deja Vu phenomenon? And let me leave a comment on the YouTube video as well. Just leave me a comment. Say, I've never had Deja Vu, and I'll call you a smart bitch. Lucky. No Deja Vu. No crusty driving situation. Or maybe you have Deja Vu every day. In which case, I'll be like, tell me the future, because apparently you got something going on there. Miss Medium. Love that. If you enjoyed this and you're listening, feel free to leave me not the burp on 5-star review. Apologies. Feel free to leave me a 5-star review. It actually helps a lot. So thank you for the people that did that. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to like the video, leave me a comment, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And yeah, I'm super excited. Next week is facial recognition. I've already started writing my notes and everything on that. It's going to be a fun time. It's one of those ones where there's levels of not the difficulty, the difficulty. There's levels of difficulty, and it's going to be interesting to see how we navigate that. But we'll see how that goes. Thank you all for listening or watching, and I will talk to you next week. Peace out. Bye.